Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Storyteller series, where we try to give you, the listener, some actionable guidance that you can use to make your game a little better. I am here with Johnny Brown tonight.
Hey, what's up, folks?
How you doing?
You know, I'm here.
Yeah, good. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the table. This is one of the beginner series. Yeah, and people go, well, what do you mean the table? Because
there's a lot to say about the table, folks.
There's a lot to say about the table. And this is for, if you sit down to have a tabletop game, this podcast should answer the following questions. What should I bring to the table as a storyteller? What should I bring to the table as a player? What etiquette or rules, and they're not really rules, they're more like guidelines than rules, should I follow when I'm at the table? How should I behave both as a storyteller and as the player? So we're going to try to cover those topics. We hope that this cast gives you a little bit of information that you can use, and we should jump right into it. So, Johnny, have you ever story told for a tabletop game?
I have.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
More than once?
Oh, yeah.
Just that one time, and then the
no,
table was on fire on its side when you went away, and that was it. You were like, that was that one time, that's all.
Nah. Yeah, like I've done it a couple of times, so I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and yeah, like I have. And there's been moments where it's been exhilarating, it was wonderful, it was great, and then there were other times where it was just, I left panic, nauseous, and suicidal.
Oh, okay.
Because, like...
that's not a good combination.
Yeah, because it was just like, I can't believe that. Did that just happen? Is this real gaming life? Did that just happen?
So that's wonderful. That's good. We've been on both ends, right? I know exactly what you're talking about.
And everything in between. It's like, what is this?
So now, typically when you are playing in a game or running a game, is it at a public place like a library where you reserve a room and get a table there, or is it usually at somebody's house?
I've done both.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the time, it's usually at a private space than public, and here's why. For me personally, I don't mind playing in public, but there's still, even with gaming culture in general being all over the place, and as pervasive as it is now, there's still stigma with it. And a lot of people get uncomfortable when they see a group of guys or gals in a room at a library with D&D books, and they're throwing dice and hands in the air and they're screaming. And they're like, what? Like, it's like they're on the outside looking in, and they're like, what's going on? Like, I quick story. So the one time that I played at a library, right? Mm-hmm. A friend of mine was like, I'm gonna run this one-shot D&D game. And it's gonna be really great. And my sister is a librarian over at the downtown library, and she got us the room upstairs and the study room, the big one, and we're going to do it, and it's going to be great, and this, that, and other. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, but it was a big space, and it was free to rent.
Yeah, like it was free,
awesome.
and it was free, and we could have food in there and drinks, and so like it was.
That's nice.
It was right. It was like prime. It was like prime real estate. It's like, oh, okay, and like gaming. As we will discuss further in the Storyteller series, gaming real estate can be a hard thing to find.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, finding a spot is sometimes just a pain in the ass.
Pain. It's like, oh, well, we can't do it here because my wife. We can't do it here because the kids. Oh, we can't do it because, my 80-year-old neighbor.
Right, or my mom, or my whatever.
Whatever. So he's like, game's gonna start at noon, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. All right, great. So get there, and I've got, got my dice, I got my books, I got my pen and paper. I try to be a very studious gamer. So,
nice.
I have all my things, and we get in there and we get set up, and we had this routine where we would get set up and we'd go over what happened the last events, because we only played once a month. So, it was then that way. It's like, okay, so, let's refresh everyone's memory, what happened, so on and so forth. And there was one guy in the group who didn't play. He was the watcher. That's what we dubbed him. And his only job was to come and to actually record the games, which was really cool.
Like record, like we're
so
doing.
He would, so he recorded like that, and he would also transcribe notes as well.
Oh, wow.
So things we said, this, that, and that. So it was really great. And it's something as a storyteller I implemented in my games, because I thought it was really great, whether it's tabletop, LARP, or whatever. So, Evan's going over the notes, and we're like, all right, yeah, we're ready. We're getting to it. And where we left off, we were in the midst of this glorious battle scene, and it was time for one of the characters who was a wizard to make a move. It was this cliffhanger. So what was he going to do? And he's got his little, he's got his readied action. So literally when we start the game, it jumps off with his dice roll in action. And in his excitement, he yells, "Fire!" before anyone can get to the rest of the word, which is storm. Right? He's going to create this firestorm.
And for a fact, he goes, "Firestorm!"
All of a sudden, there were people running and screaming, and it became this. I was like, what? I mean, it was a scene out of like Airplane, like just pandemonium all over the place. Like people were like, "There's a fire," and alarm. Someone pulled an alarm.
Oh no!
Sprinklers came down.
Are you so
as a heart attack, and I was like, and I'm standing there, mind you. First of all, in my very cute $80 gaming T-shirt that I just recently purchased, and
And you're getting rained on.
yeah, and I'm getting rained. I'm also getting rained on too because I just, like most beautiful buttery black people in this country, my hair was did, and I just sewed in $400 worth of hair in my head, and so I'm drenched. So I now look like a wet chia pet.
Oh,
a wet gaming chia pet.
Oh, no.
And I'm so pissed, and I'm like, and of course, and then I start to hear everything that some of my people of color friends say, and they're like, well, you shouldn't game, and this, that, and the other, and stuff like this. And then I'm just like, like it's beyond that. I am a wet gaming chia pet.
Right.
I haven't even gotten to my action because I was ready because I had my little sword play because I was playing this little rogue thief / swashbuckler type deal archetype. So like I had both my sabers in my hands and I was ready to flip in and like start.
You didn't even get your turn.
Turns I was in the shots. Never. To this day, I'm still waiting on that turn. Because no. So the epilogue to this was so the group was lightly banned.
From the library.
Yeah, from the library.
Can't come back from
like
that, yeah.
as a group, meaning like as a group, we couldn't come to play. Now, as individuals with a library card and needing some material, absolutely, it was fine.
But you show up together and you.
But we show up together. We best be study buddies because be damned if we're going to be in a study room. We got to study outside.
Wow.
So I just was like, yeah, I was like, if it's not a gaming store where that atmosphere, everyone's there for the same thing. I tend not to want to do it at a library or outside or anything. If it's not a gaming store, it's got to be at someone's crib. Yeah. That is the now hard and fast rule for tabletop. Although that's been a minute. That's been several years. So,
but in a gaming store, if somebody goes fire,
yeah,
you're going, okay, cannons,
yeah,
ball,
yeah,
storm. For effect,
yeah, like,
or is something actually burnt? That's like the 4th or 5th question or is something actually burning?
Yeah, and
then they're going.
Yeah, and the thing is like, we're in this very public space, and you have people that aren't, used to seeing gamers, and so they just overreact, and boom, there you have it.
Holy cow!
Yeah, so I'd rather be on someone's floor with no table and just spread a map folio, and keep it moving if I got to.
Okay.
I mean, I'm old school, but yeah.
All right. So yeah, I've only gamed at a library twice, and the first time I was really uncomfortable because all of the rooms that they had like 4 rooms and then one in the center, so it was like this half moon kind of thing.
Okay.
And all the walls were glass.
Ooh.
So we were in the center room and we were gaming, and it wasn't like people could hear us, which was probably worse. But we were in the middle of like this hack and slash run and gun scene, and we're all jumping around and yelling and rolling dice and just being complete spazzes.
Mm-hmm.
But from the outside, with no sound from us, it just looked like this pantomime stupidity that was just like, there were 3 times when like I looked around and we had drawn somewhat of a crowd, and like it was like, oh, like we were on display, and it was not what I would call good.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I don't know if anybody else like recognized or realized that, if they had the social acumen to go, wait a minute, like
we're being watched.
Like we have transformed this library study room from a library to a zoo.
Yeah.
And now we are on display.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me a little uncomfortable. And so our advice for listeners would be, private space is typically better. Now, when you're going for a LARP and you're going to go. Even then, reserve a room.
Yeah.
Have a space that's
Yeah.
yours. Because even in a LARP, if you're going to scare the straights, is bad. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we use the term straights, we're not talking about sexual orientation. We're talking about those not engaged in the role playing activity. Yeah. Okay. Probably need to come up with a better term, but that's the one that we default to at the moment. Now, for tabletop, private real estate tends to be better. And we're not saying that there is a stigma, although you mentioned that there is a little bit.
Yeah.
We're not saying that it's a shameful activity.
But not at all.
Not at all. However, that being said, being able to draw the curtains is, a benefit with a private space.
Yeah, and also too,
I mean, I'm not saying you need to, but I'm saying you can.
And also too, for me, like it's a comfort level. Like everyone has those different type of gamer friends that you can do certain things at their place that you can't do at others. So
right.
Like I have gamer friends that like I can roll in and
move their table.
Exactly. Move the table. No questions asked. But I can do things like, roll in my pajamas and be, comfortable enough to just be in my PJs, just chilling, playing a game. Yeah. As opposed to like in public, it's like, oh well, I really don't want to. I really just want to throw on this T-shirt and these sweatpants, but let me put on some sort of decent clothing because I'm gonna be doing this imaginary thing where I'm this drow and this evil drow and people are, and it's just
Johnny, you don't play evil drow, do you?
I have.
Okay,
I've done a lot. I have a very expansive repertoire.
I'm sorry, I need a break. Okay, so anyhow, Johnny, I thought I knew you. Okay, apparently I didn't. No, it's all good. Okay, so private space better than public space. Got it.
Yeah.
So you're the storyteller. Let's say, I almost don't want to ambush you with this question.
You're a jerk.
So you want to host, right?
All right.
You do you or don't you?
Sure, why not?
Do you want to have it at your place? There's the hesitation I was looking for.
Right,
like,
because
you want to have them at your house, right?
Well, okay.
And you go, well, yeah.
Well, no. No, I will keep it 100%. So here's the real deal. There is the fantasy of hosting at your house, and then there's the reality.
Wait, well, what do you mean the fantasy?
Wait. Based upon the group that you have, because it's all about the group. Because see, here's
the
thing.
It is.
There's a group of gamers that like they know they can't step into my house anymore. I don't care. I don't care if my house is a tent in a shanty town outside on the skirts of downtown. You're not coming in my tent. Yeah, you're just not. You just messed it up.
I'm not saying they're not welcome. Yeah, but they know not to come over.
Yeah, you can't. You have messed it up too many times. You've done the most with the absolute least,
and it's a thing.
And that's it. And it's about, for me, it's about it's a respectability. So when I host games, I consciously think about who I'm inviting, and like in order for me to figure out the space, if it's going to be at my place or if we got to find a spot, it really determines on what type of campaign I'm running and who I want to have involved.
Okay. But talk to me first about the fantasy of hosting the game versus the reality. Whatever do you mean, Johnny?
Well, okay. The very first time I ever hosted a game, I had it was great because I was like, all right, guys, we're going to do this campaign and like, here's the rules and the characters that you can play and this, that, and other. And we're going to have a creation day. And so we got together at someone else's house, had the creation day. Great. All right, everything's in tow. And all right, show up at noon and we'll game from like noon to 6. And, like I'll have snacks on hand and like we'll have a meal break. And it's going to be epic. And, like I've got my candles, I got my I downloaded all this music, had theme music. I got the surround sound up and I'm like, got incense and sage blowing. Like I've set a mood.
Yes.
I've set a tone.
Yes.
And a theme, and I'm ready. I'm good to go. And in my mind, I had this grandiose fancy that my group is gonna roll in. They're gonna have their dice. They're gonna have their pencils. They're gonna have their paper. They're gonna have their books. They're gonna have their reference books.
They're going to know what their class does.
Yeah, they're going to know what
have their little special abilities written out. They're going to be ready to go.
They're ready to go. So we're not going to, we're not going to do this prologue thing. No, we're just going to jump. I was going to drop them right in the middle of battle and we're going to do this.
Right. So you're going to bring it in. You're going to bring the lights down. The candles are going to be lit, and you're going to start with. So the rogue just got done with the backstab, and the fighter does what to the army of kobolds that you are entrenched in battle with. You had the idea. I'm with you. I understand the fantasy. You have built the world.
I did.
So what happened in reality?
So the reality was that first of all, Yeah, so the game, the game's supposed to start at noon. Folks start rolling in about like 12:45.
Oh.
First of all, I had the one gamer that was the studious gamer that was like
There-
early. Like he called, he was like,
11:55.
yeah,
He's
he
like,
was
I'm here, I'm ready to go.
He was like, hey, I'm already up and like I got some Starbucks, this, that, and other, and I'm close by your house. Can I just come by? And it was like 11:15. I was like, yeah, come over. And he's like,
God.
I got a few questions about my concept.
Wanted to round it out,
Yeah, and I
flesh
was
it out.
like,
Yeah.
awesome. And I'm like, great. And don't get me wrong, I did not expect everyone to be there 12 on the dot. However, what I did not expect was for to be showing up at 12:45. So all right, so we're already behind. So now I'm like, all right, so there's this one thing I want to do. We're gonna cut that out. I can just throw that in the next episode. That's fine. And this other thing, like they may not get to that because the puzzle's kind of long. So how can I shorten the puzzle? And so now I'm starting to like basically cut, copy, and paste what I want to do
The
for
game plan.
Yeah, for time. So
Yeah, you don't
it's
wanna
like
do
I'm
that.
editing for time. And which,
Ooh.
as a storyteller, like sometimes that just happens. And it's
Sure.
It's one thing when like, oh, like I didn't think this was gonna take as long. Let's kind of, cut, copy, paste, do whatever, kind of edit this down for time so we can move on or stop right here or whatever. However, they start to get there, right? Now, mind you, there's one of me, and there were 6 of them.
That's a big party.
And I was like, it was cool. And the reason why I was 6 was because there was one character that was only going to be in it for so long. And like that was set up that way. So
okay.
it was perfectly fine.
Right.
So when it was all said and done, it was going to be a party of 5.
Okay.
So, right, exactly. For those
Well
of us
played.
that enjoy the 90s. Party
There you go. Well played.
Nev Campbell. Okay, but I digress.
Right. Go ahead.
Where is she? We should find her, but I digress. So,
We'll do that in the behind the mask.
Exactly.
episode.
We need to find
we'll
Nev Campbell.
We'll get that out.
But I've got 6 of them, and people, I forgot my notebook with my notes. Do you have a spell compendium? I don't. I'm like, all right, everyone got their D20. Oh, I left my dice at home. Can I borrow your dice? Oh, well, you can borrow my dice, but I don't want you using that. No, don't use that dice. You use this dice. I was like, so I've got these petulant children that are all allegedly over the age of 18.
Right.
And we're now at this point where we're sitting at this table, supposed to be ready to go. So now it's like 2:15. And then we've just now started, and we're like 10 minutes in, and people are like, it's that antsy kind of shake of like, oh, we've been gaming intently for a while. We need like a water break. We need a food break. We need a soda break. And I'm like, y'all just,
We just started.
and so by 4:30 or so, I'm spent because I'm just like, I just wanted to have a game.
Because you've been babysitting
Yeah.
for
And
almost 5 hours.
And what I learned, a very valuable lesson, was that it's all well and good to set the mood. It's all well and good to have grandiose ideas, but you need to be realistic about the people that you're gaming with. And part of that was that I thought for some reason, because I was hosting the game, that they would all like get their stuff together and be right about it, and like this was gonna like I should have known better. You acted a fool at everyone else's place. This mayhem and nonsense and foolishness was happening everywhere else. What made me think, because I was providing snacks and food? Because I had a buffet, y'all. I had a mini buffet. Like I threw down because I was like, like I want.
It's going to be an event.
Yeah, like it was gonna be an event, and like I'm one of those STs that like when it's an event, I want you to feel immersed in that.
Yeah.
And tabletop is no exception. So yeah, when it comes to like, am I gonna host? Am I not gonna host? I would say now it's 75% of the time I host. But it's all about, like I'm gaming with this guy and this girl and this guy and this girl, and you know what? Like they will show up, they will come to work ready. They will come to play ready. And that's it. They will come to play ready. And then when it's people that I really want to game with because I like their aesthetic or what they bring to the table, but ultimately they're not always with it, then I will either suggest another location, usually on their turf. So then they're more comfortable and I can be a lot more at ease. Or if it is on my spot, I make sure that, it's already lax enough. I don't come in with grandiose expectations. I have a game plan of like things I want to hit. And then after that, it's free for all.
Right. So the two elements that I'm looking at that we're pulling out of there are There's the fantasy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be this way. We've all had the fantasy.
Oh God, yeah.
We've all been like, oh, it is gonna be like this. It's gonna be so cool, and it's gonna be so good, and we're gonna put that shawl over the lamp. And make it all red,
and the thing
then
about
the shawl caught on fire.
Oh yeah, and the thing
like,
about the fantasy,
that light bulb is hot.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
And the thing about the fantasy is that don't think because you had the fantasy experience once that you're not going to fall into that trap again, because you do.
Oh, you will.
You know better. You really do. You know better. And then you're like,
but you're going to go back there.
I got this idea, Mullen. And we're going to do this whole like Shadowrun fantasy thing.
So I'm going to start it. I'm going to start it with Mr. Johnson, the meeting with Mr. Johnson. So they're going to come in, the lights are going to be down, and it's going to be grubby. They're going to walk in, they'll be like, what's this? And I'm going to address them as their characters when they walk in. I'm going to be like, so, Mr. Miller, your task for tonight. And you're like, oh, this is going to be so good. And then they walk in, and they're like, they turn on the lights. And they're like, oh, no, turn it back. I forgot there was a light switch on that side of the room. Damn it.
There was an ambiance.
So there's the fantasy, and we all have it. And now you can't see right, and then you turn it off, and you can't read the thing by the candle that you had, and son of a bitch. Because you're like,
because it's messed up.
Because it's all messed up. So we've all had that fan. We've all had that picture in our heads how we want it to go.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, that is not to say you should not plan for that. That is not to say you should not try for that. That's not to say, okay, quick little side note and a quick plug. There is a place called Adventure Sense, SCENTS. Adventure Sense, and I'm going to put their link in the show notes. They have a packet, and I should have brought it with me, called Campfire. And you hold it up, and you're like, and it's sweet and smoky and burnt, and it is exactly. I recommend you go out. You can get these little sachets they call of scent, and they're like $5, and you can get 5 of them, or $5 you can get 3 of them, whatever it is. And they're like moldy dungeon, campfire, and and they're all different kinds of scents. They got all kinds of stuff. They got like pirate ship and forest and crypt and. All like vampire blood is one of them. Like they've got all kinds of stuff. Like it's all over the place, right? Dragon's Nest is one of them. I mean, it's really cool. And when you take the lid off of this, you're like, okay, so the druid puts a campfire up, and you're down for the night, and all you do is open one of these and set it up in the middle of the table, and then you're telling the story. And as it does, that scent rolls into the room, and you're like, we're at the campfire. Those types of things.
Where was this years ago when I was bringing in fog machines and like incense and like? I remember one time a friend of mine's mom was so mad at us because we were in this we were doing this like Wrath of Time adventure, and so like one of the time, and basically real quick, so what it was a tabletop, and it was basically what we did was something happened, we all got caught up in this time spell, and we constantly basically quantum leap D&D style. So nice. You end up in these different time frames, and some of them were everything from modern all the way to like prehistoric and everything. And one of the times we ended up was during the fall of the House of Cleopatra. And so we were trying to get an artifact from Ascenaway. It was this great thing, and the guy that put it together did this. He was an amazing storyteller, but his mom was so mad because he busted out patchouli. And for those of us that have smelled patchouli oil, that is not the easiest thing to get out. It is a scent that lingers.
Yeah.
Days later, years later, sometimes even you're just like.
You're like, somebody.
It's like an acid flashback. Yeah, you're just like, patchouli was in here once. How do you know that? It was 6 months ago. But I know. And like,
you can't get it out of the grain of the wood.
I needed that. I needed to be able to have this Egyptian musk smell, just open it and sit in the center and go.
Yes.
Like, that would have been everything.
Right. And then you put the lid on 3-4 minutes before you want, and then it fades right out to nothing. And it's amazing. So we've all had that fantasy, okay? And I'm not saying get rid of that. I'm saying hold on to that, okay? Because there are times, and what you need to do is you need to pull in a little bit of the edge from the fantasy a little bit closer to reality. And while you do that, pull your reality a little closer to the fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Because the second, fantasy versus reality, the second part of what I've heard from this is preparedness. Make sure you are prepared. Make sure your players are prepared. And as you increase your preparedness, and by preparedness, I mean you have pencils, you have paper, you have your books, you have their books.
Yeah.
Because they ain't going to bring them all the time. You have dice.
Yeah.
You have your dice, you have some extra dice for them. When you're the player, bring along some extra dice because you may even have a storyteller that goes, "Oh, I didn't bring my dice. Who's got dice for me?"
Again, me being that astute player, I don't know where I got it personally, but I just always felt like it was bad form for me not only not bring my dice, but not to bring extra dice just in case.
Right. Now,
because it was just like, because anything can happen. Like you especially you got a raggedy dice bag, a hole you didn't see, and your favorite dice fall out, and now you're mad and upset.
No.
Like all kinds of things. Anything can happen. So it's let me bring some extra stuff because, like you said, even as a ST, sometimes just we're humans, so like things happen, and so
it happens.
I'm one of those where like I like to pack like 3 days before, and then like I'm checking it all leading up to like the night before, and then I check it like 5 times the night before, and then I get up early
to check it before you leave.
After I do the 3 S's, then I'm like, I gotta check that bag one more again before I leave the house. But there's been places where like, I got pencils, and I'm like, where? And then like, I hear the mockery of the pencils laughing at me because they're sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
And
you're like, oh, wait, I pulled those out and set those here so that I could put that one thing in
and didn't put it back
in.
And be like,
So the more prepared you are, the more you can inch towards that fantasy. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
But remember, the perfect fantasy, and we've all had it in your head, is not going to happen.
Nah.
And that's okay.
Nah.
You should still shoot for it.
Yeah.
You should still try for it.
Yeah, because sometimes you get something better than what even you had.
Right, and sometimes you get lucky and you'll hit it. Because I've had 2 or 3 times where it's all come together and the theme music worked and everything was, and I was like, oh, that was the shit.
It was like, this was life.
Right.
I did this. Like,
it was fantastic. So the fantasy versus reality is good. Preparedness will help you get closer to all of those.
Oh, yeah.
So you're at your house. You've decided you're going to host because one of the benefits of hosting, and I don't know if you all know this, is that when everyone gets to leave and they have to go drive home, I'm already home.
Yeah.
Like I'm done.
Oh,
I'm there.
Yeah.
So I'm stunned that people don't fight to have it at their house, but I understand why people don't because some people's houses are just less than tidy. Isn't that a nice way of saying it? Isn't that, see? Look at it, Gaming with Scott. We're learning all kinds of new ways to say stuff that you were like, that guy's house is a crap hole.
Yeah, and some people's houses are like hoarders. It's
right?
like you walk to an episode of Hoarders, you're like, okay.
Calendars from 1956.
All right.
A whole stack of them. A whole stack hip high calendars from 1956.
Be like, okay, all right.
So if 1956 ever comes around again, you're going to make a mint.
You got it.
But I don't know. Okay, we're going to go play. We're going to play at the kitchen table. All right, I'm coming. I noted. I didn't know why. I noticed these were here. And then we move on. By the way, for those listening, Johnny does not have a stack of 1956 calendars.
I do not.
His place is very nice. And it's very clean. And I like it a lot.
I try.
I did not fear sitting on the furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, I came in and was like, I can actually sit down there. And I sat down on the couch and it was like, this is comfy.
Yeah.
And
we're getting new furniture soon.
Well, you don't need to because I like this. This is nice.
Oh, but we're gonna upgrade to the real Super Comf.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So you have 2 things. Okay, so we just talked about the states of other people's houses because if you go to other people's houses, you're kind of like, there's those people that want to invite you. They want you to come to their tent, right? And you're like, it's a tent in the middle of. You know where I had to park? Are you kidding me? I mean, anything. But then you need to invite those people to your home, and you're going, so there's that trade-off too. So beware of that when you, because not everyone has the same level of fastidiousness that you do, or cleanliness, or again, Gaming with Scott, very big on the 5-2-1 rule for cons.
Best rule ever.
Let's skim out the most of that and say, before you go to someone else's house to role play, please take a shower.
Yes.
Because you're going to be in their house. That's just the thing. Again, people, why are you telling me that I'm unclean? No, it has nothing to do with that. We're bodies. It's a chemical process that we go through as we continue to live. Wash that shit off.
Yeah.
So
wash it off.
Wash it off, and then you can come over. Now, when you set out the table, because you talked about a lot of things, and I'm woo.
Jump on in.
Let's talk setup, okay? What items are must-have? What items are I'd like to have them? And what items are, well, now you're just talking crazy, but that's really, really cool. Must-have at the table when people are going to show up at your house and game.
For me, the must-have items are, first of all, the basics of extra character sheets. Your own set of dice, books, your own personal mini library. So player hand guide, the DM guide, the whatever extra little books that you want. all
Core
your
rule
reference-
book,
yeah,
secondary
core
rule
all
book.
that stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
all of that is there. For me, those are fundamentally the things that you need.
Writing
Like absolutely
utensils?
hand down. You're going to need those pencils. You're going to need paper. You're going to need you got to write notes, folks. Sometimes, you need to write a note. Sometimes they need to write a note. Sometimes a note must be written, and nothing jacks up the flow when they're like, someone's scratching around for a pencil, someone's scratching around for paper. No one brought pen or paper, and then you got to get up.
But Johnny, I agree with you. Okay, so I'm going to sharpen pencils before they show up because nobody wants to sharpen pencils.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay, so they should be sharpened
Yeah.
beforehand. We talked about preparation.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're going to have 5 players at the table plus me.
Right.
Okay, because it was a party of 5, and that's 10 pencils because they're going to break one, so they want a backup. So that's now 3 of those people are going to take those pencils with them. Both of those pencils, not just the one they were writing with.
Right. They're
So
gonna take
that's
both.
6 pencils that just walked away. When they come back 2 weeks from now, because we're going to play again, I still need 10 pencils.
Right.
So I need to buy a second box of pencils, and I need to sharpen them. And those same 3 people are going to walk off with 2 more pencils. So every other week I need to buy a box of pencils?
You have some fools that will do that. I'm not that type of ST.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, what do you mean?
So everyone's different. So I buy things like pencil and paper like in huge, like ridiculous quantities to begin with. But I'm quick to point out to people like, oh, I need a pencil. Like, here's 2. Okay, let me backtrack. I tend to make kits for my players because that's the type of ST that I am. I tend to be nice like that. So inside the kit there is a standard regular gum eraser. There are 2 sharpened pencils. There's 1 ink pen. There is a small thin graphing paper. There's a small thin notebook that is inside there, and that is their set. And I tell them, look, like here's your set. Okay, you're responsible for this set. Now you come into a game and you lose a pen, whatever. That's fine. I'll replace it one time. And if you take that replacement with you, that's fine. But then after that,
You're on
your own. And I make note of that ish because my whole thing is like it's about the fact that for me it stops the flow of the game, it slows down the process, and it says something about the fact that you aren't respectful of the fact that someone took their hard-earned coin, their time and energy to supply these things for you to constantly just write them off to like, oh, well, I can just get another one next week. I can just get another one next week. Well, those pencils
Johnny
add
will
up.
have pencils for me.
Yeah, those pencils add up, player. I don't care if I'm buying them in bulk, getting 100 for $5. That's my $5 that I worked hard for.
But you encourage storytellers to put that initial package
Yeah,
together.
like put it together. Like put together an initial package, and let hey, like things happen.
And we'll have the checklist for that package in the show notes.
Yeah, like you've got a little package together. Like here you go. Here's some things to get you started on your journey. And I find that that's really helpful, particularly for people that have never tabletopped before. They've never gamed before.
Right.
They don't know what to expect. Before the internets and the YouTubes, all you had was word of mouth, and those things that your grandma was like, D&D's of the devil, and they go out in the woods and sacrifice, and so you don't know what to expect. So you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get there and we're gonna have like a sacrificing of a goat in a fire pit before we like sit down at the kitchen table, and then are we gonna? I don't. What's happening? What? So it's nice to be like, hey, like here, and most gamers are broke, not all. But there's like a 50-50 divide on like who's broke and who's not. Yeah. And sometimes the tides change. It's like, I wasn't broke 6 months ago, but now my house is in foreclosure and I'm broke. Things happen. So,
yeah.
But if you
I'll guarantee you that tide may have changed, but you still want game. I mean,
right.
You still want to
like,
game. We're gaming this weekend.
Yeah, we're gaming, right?
Because gaming is escapism, and that's good.
And so when you come to a game, it's just refreshing to, whether they're a novice or whether they're experienced, to just be like, hey, like, welcome to the game. Here's what to, and also in my pack, I put in there what to expect. Just like some common courtesy rules.
What?
Yeah, I do. Cause I'm like, hey, cause I didn't seen it all and done it all. I'm like, look, like, everyone gets a freebie today, but after that, when you come in, take your shoes off or whatever it is, take your shoes off, or we don't, there's the guest bathrooms here, help yourself to XYZ, so on and so forth, and just basic standard things, including, wash your ass, like don't be funking on my furniture,
right?
Everyone gets one, but because I Febrezed a player down once, no shame in my game. I was like, nope. And I was like, we got to run this game today. So you just go, turn around, raise them pits, spritz.
There it is.
But yeah, like, I mean, that's, for me, that's what I do, is that I let them know, here's a packet, or here's, excess, X amount of supplies. But ultimately, like, I'm not going to constantly providing these things, especially like if it's a short campaign, like, we're only going to play for like, 2 or 3 games. Yeah, I'll keep giving you pencils. It's fine. But like when I'm doing them like epic campaigns, like year plus, no, I'm not. It's not, and particularly it gets old when they come in, they've got no writing utensil, they've got no paper, they don't have their character sheet, they don't have a book, they don't have dice, they don't have nothing. They just expect to roll up to the table. And I also find those are the same ones that don't have money for the pizza on the pitch in. I'm just saying. Yeah. No shade.
Hashtag just saying.
No shade.
Right.
But it's not shade if it's true.
Right.
And it's true.
And it's true.
Because I'm like, really, like, you came,
and
so
you know what?
just
and you know what?
basically came to hang.
And, right. And that's 2 things. That shows a character, typically, but definitely a player who's not in the cadence. Like, you get in a cadence in the game. You know what you're going to do. Okay, well, it's going to take us 15 minutes to get ready. It's going to take us 45 minutes to get ready. You know how your group is and how they're going to settle down and be ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, and the guy that shows up with nothing, or the lady that shows up with nothing, and very rarely is it the lady that shows up with nothing. It's the guy. Okay, I will be sexist in that I will say that it's the guys that don't have their shit together when they don't do this. And they show up not knowing what the hell's, and you're going, Bob, really? Again. Okay. Which was hysterical because the first game that we recorded for the Marvel session, and the way we record our Marvel sessions, just like we're recording these storyteller sessions, we'll record several of them during the course of a day, and like we'll record 4 sessions of an hour long. Well, that's a month's worth of episodes,
right?
Because we release them once a week, so that's a whole month. Well, the first game he showed up, he forgot his character sheet. So we were like, okay, well, Marty forgot his character sheet, and we gave him shit about it. So then we took our hour-long episode. We ended. We all went, we went to the bathroom. Everybody got a drink. Some people went out and smoked. We came back in, and we were like, okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at Marvel. Oh, and Marty's forgotten his character sheet again, okay? And now he was like, he was like, that was 5 minutes ago. It wasn't a week. I said, well, we released them a week apart, so it's going to look like for an entire month you forgot your character sheet. And so he was just like, so the 3rd and 4th, and he's like, listen, people, this is all recorded on the same day. I did not forget my character sheet a week, every week for a month. This has not happened. But those people who are like, they roll up and they just don't have their stuff together. Now, that was not Marty, but we know who, we all can go, so who was it at your table? And we can throw out a name right away and be like, I know who that is. And again, it goes to preparedness. Try to get into the cadence of your game.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got a list of things that you provide a packet. That's really, really cool. I only do that for convention games when I know I'm going to have, and I do it for the folks on Gaming with Scott that are going to be at the convention. If you're getting a badge or whatever with us, then you're also going to get what's called a con kit.
Yeah.
And it's got everything you need for gaming and toothbrush, deodorant, wipes, Band-Aids, Neosporin. I mean, it's got all this kind of stuff. My wife puts them together, and they're absolutely amazing. We'll get into more, and we'll have lists of those on another podcast. But, so, again, preparedness. You have a kit. You set them down. So we all come to the table, and we're all going to be gaming. You mentioned you have a buffet. Is that like every game I should put out a buffet? Or you can go ahead and say no.
Well, yeah.
Because I'm going to say, if you have to put out a buffet every game, I'll tell you right now, there's listeners going, I can't do this game.
Yeah, no.
I can't have them in my house ever because we're not going to have a buffet. So go ahead and say no.
Yeah, no. God, no.
So food at the table?
All right.
Buffet? Snacks?
All right.
Chips? Do you have a bag of chips? Has anybody got a bag? Anybody got a bag of anything here? Because I wanted to hold it up to the microphone and go,
right,
and make that noise. Because you're trying to set, you're like, and then the rogue slowly sneaks across the queen's bedchamber.
Yeah.
Preparing to drive his steel between the vertebrae too.
Oh yeah,
Bob, I'm trying to set it. I'm doing a thing. You're
I'm setting
opening.
the mood.
You're opening those Doritos.
You're ruining
right
the mood
now.
You're ruining the mood.
Food at the table.
Yeah. You know what? Are you ready? So
I'm ready.
I'm a proponent for food at the table, but
Okay.
there's some caveats. There's a whole bunch. I'm a diabetic, so like,
Okay.
I have and a lot of time my sugar stays abnormally low.
Okay.
So there's days.
So you got
where,
little. You got.
there's
little,
days
you
where
just-
like I'm constantly
you're
like
grazing.
them lifesavers are not going to do me justice.
Right.
Those fast acting tabs aren't going to do me justice, and I don't want to constantly keep playing with my insulin throughout
Yeah. Don't
the
do
day.
that.
Yeah. So I graze,
Right.
and hey, and like you're sitting down, and usually you're playing a game for well in excess of 2 hours. I get it.
Easily. I mean,
Easily,
if we're sitting down, we're doing 4 hours
doing-
minimum.
yeah.
If we ain't doing 6 or 8.
Yeah. I have personally what I do is if it's an event game, I let them I try not to spring events on my players, but I let them know, hey, we're going to do an event game. I'm going to provide a buffet, or let's do a pitch in. What's our theme?
But
so on and
Johnny,
so forth. Yes.
What do you mean by the term event game?
So an event game
For our
look,
listeners at home.
right? Okay. Look. So I'm going to put this in terms.
Isn't every game an event?
Well, I mean, it is, but it isn't. We're going to do this like this. Put it in terms of like a television show. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right?
Oh,
So we'll go with
love
season.
some Buffy.
We'll go with season 4.
All right, I'm in.
So season 4, you have your typical episode. Start a plot point. It builds, and then all of a sudden you had a event episode, Hush, where the entire episode is silent.
Yes.
Except for at the very end where she screams, and then after that, her and oh boy, we're going to have a conversation. And they sit in silence. Oddly enough. So
Yes.
this is the episode, right? That is an event. So when you in terms of tabletopping, and we'll put it in perspective of D&D, the event game could be that, they just, they beat off the forces of Mordoff. And so on next week's episode, there's going to be a big celebration, and it's going to be an event. Well, the event is a celebration of itself, but little do my players know is that there's going to be some treachery, and like the hall's going to get locked, and it's going to be a massacre, and who's going to survive, like there's all this other. But
so in Gaming with Thrones term, the Red Wedding was
exactly.
an event game.
Right.
Hey,
like, yeah,
right. Oh.
Exactly. Like, yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, like
Oh.
that's what an event is. It's about
Okay.
the fact that it isn't your typical standard. I look at games in terms of television, therefore in terms of episodes. So you're going to have the standard run of the mill, there's the plot point, the characters do X, Y, and Z, there's character development, yada, yada, yada. Either the plot is wrapped up or it isn't wrapped up, and then we move on the next week to see what happens. And then all of a sudden you have something that is a game changer that normally never happens to these characters that now has switched the dynamics. It's big, it's epic, the where shows are like, oh, we're going to kill somebody. Who is it? And they show you 5 characters of the main cast, and they kill off the random dude that's in the background.
Right.
So,
Right.
like that. But that was the big event. You was like, I know Scott's going to die this week. I know.
What?
Marty died? Like, who? We only saw him 6.
He
saw
was
him
the
6
gardener?
episodes ago, and
Was
he's
that
the
the
gardener.
gardener?
Like we haven't
Okay,
seen him
he's
for.
dead.
All
I didn't
he's dead.
expect that.
All right,
but really?
But it's the buildup. It's the anticipation. It's the hype.
Right.
So that's what.
Who shot JR?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or my personal favorite, Who Survived the Moldavian Massacre?
Right.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Check it
out.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's an event. So if there's an event, then I'm like, hey, like we're gonna buff it. We're gonna whatever.
Nice.
When it's not a normal event, I'm like, hey, so again, I'm like, all right, we'll start at X amount of time. We'll do our pre-game warm-ups and whatever. We'll dive in. Let's play for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we'll take a break at X amount of time. You guys want to you guys want to order pizza, or everybody want to run out and everyone take like half hour and scatter places and scatter back and whatever. And then also too, again, it's about knowing your group. I've been fortunate. I've been blessed enough to game with people that we've had food and drinks at the table, and it's, people aren't clumsy. People are very respectful. They come in, they're like, hey, so are there cup holders? Do we need
Coasters?
Coasters? Do we need napkins? Drinks on table, drinks off table.
Oh, wait. Drinks on table, drinks off table. Hold on. Back up. Do you allow drinks on your table?
Sometimes.
Can they be uncovered? Or
Hell nah.
Or must they have a screw top lid?
Right. I prefer that your drink is covered, particularly when I throw down that $60 map folio that I bought.
Oh.
That's got not.
You don't want Diet Pepsi
I do
just
not
spilled
want,
through there?
I do not, sir. I do not, because it's sticky and will not come off.
Right.
So let's not do that.
Right.
Here's my rule of thumb. If you are someone and you're going into someone's house gaming and you want to bring drinks, we all stop at McDonald's and get food, and that's fine and dandy. But finish your drink as quickly as possible, and all of your other beverages have bottled beverages with screw tops.
Bottled beverages with screw tops are the best.
It makes it so much easier and so much best. Now, if you happen to be
a water bottle,
right? If you happen to be fortunate enough, and you happen to go to someone, that guy or gal that has all them coins, and they went to Geek Chic and got the really pretty table,
the Sultan.
with the sexy with the cup holder stuff. All bets are off. Yes.
Now, this goes out to Geek Chic. If you are perhaps listening and would like to sponsor Gaming with Scott and submit to us one of your gaming tables for both review and use in filming, recording any of the Gaming with Scott podcasts, or Johnny Brown's YouTube, we can share duty. I don't care.
Yeah.
We would be more than willing to accept anything that you would like to offer towards our production value.
Yeah,
Those are magnificent tables.
Yeah, my videographer and I will be more than happy to make a commercial for you.
Absolutely.
we'll
right then and there.
We'll
so if you have somebody that does that, that's absolutely great.
Yeah,
if
it's
you've got a McDonald's, a large soda from McDonald's, whatever, set it next to you on the floor.
Yeah, I said.
And not next to your feet, next to your posterior.
Yeah, set it next to you on the
floor.
So
you ain't going to knock it over, because I'd rather you knocked it over on the floor than knocked it over on the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we've all had that happen. Accidents happen.
Yeah.
It's a thing. I'm not going to knock anybody because something got bumped. I'm just saying, if you are prepared, if you plan ahead, if you think ahead, these are the things that will remove or alleviate problems from your tabletop role-playing experience.
Oh, yeah. And if you are a player, I'm talking to you. If you are a player and you want to bring, I love a good Cheez-It, white cheddar preferred.
Mm-hmm.
I love a chicken and a biscuit.
Oh, we had chicken and biscuit last night.
Right. So but what I do is I pre-open the bag and then seal the box back so that I make as little noise as possible, or I will divvy them out in small bags. So then that way it's easily accessible and I make very little noise as possible. And I don't put it on the table and open it up underneath the table. Muffles the sound a little bit because sound travels.
And those of us that are on mic know sound will travel.
And the thing is I don't want to everyone, no one's being a jerk. They understand, the boy with the beatus is at the table. They get it. However, it's about the fact that I don't want to take anyone out of that realm of fantasy. And for some people, the slightest distraction can just snatch them out of that reality.
Exactly.
And it's about the fact that it's really honestly all the way around, Sky, whether you're the player or the ST, it's about consideration, common courtesy, little forethought.
Exactly.
Little Prometheus, little Epimetheus. You got to have a little bit of forethought and a little bit of afterthought. So think about what'll happen beforehand, and then think of everything in between that'll lead you to the end conclusion. And then justify or adjust your behavior accordingly before you even get to the venue. So then some of those problems are alleviated or they're very minuscule.
Nice. So again, forethought, afterthought, preparedness gets you from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about the players. We've talked about the table. We've talked about the space. We've talked about what you should or shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
What other topics do you have just for getting ready to host your own game? Just literally at the table itself.
Make sure that, again, be prepared.
Well, now, hang on. I'm going to back you up before you go down the bullet points. You talked about mood lighting and and incense and music. Let's say, okay, we've got the table, we've got our packets for our players, we've got character sheets, we've got some chips and dip, we've got some sodas in screw top lids for our players. We even sprung for sodas for them. We're nice, right? We got cans of Mountain Dew and the thing. They'll drink it over there. It'll be wonderful. What is that above and beyond that will inch us towards our fantasy and further away from our reality? I mean, just some off the top of your head suggestions.
Music is great. Just make sure that you make sure you go over your playlist a few times, because I had an embarrassing moment once where I didn't check my music accordingly, and we had this big battle drum, and it was leading, like the NPC is giving this, this rally cry before war, and right before he says the pivotal line that's going to just send them to a frenzy and be ready to throw dice for initiative in battle, Rock said, "It must have been love" comes on. Because
I was waiting.
I didn't make sure that I had picked proper music backtrack. I picked proper music. What I did was I did not make sure that my playlist, when I went to burn said CD, didn't accidentally have a file import over or anything like that. And I was making a 80s mix CD for an 80s party I was going to.
Wow.
And that song accidentally imported over, because sometimes it just happens that I'll do an auto import, and it auto imported over. And so like it's do. And I had like, I like to throw some things out there for my peeps. So, I like mixed music together, and like I went in and had my little edit tools, and like I got on YouTube and like watched and like cried and screamed and broke a laptop mouse, trying to, get this right so my players be in it. And literally it's like, and the drums are going, and then all of a sudden this techno mix of "It Must Have Been Love" by Roxette just pops up, and it was just like, and I'm like, oh, I'm mortified, and my players just like, we're going with it. It's fine. Rally cry. Initiative. Yeah. And it was like, thank God. But yeah, like music.
Girls just want
exactly.
And you're going, okay.
Oh, like, yeah, and to be fair, I've also had some fighting music where, hits like that have been played. But yeah, like music is great, put together a great track list and, figure out, if you want music that's moving through, or, sometimes you want a certain thing happen, you cue music at the right point, whatever. Lighting's always great, because you can just turn that switch and it's like, bow. Don't throw sheets over lamps. I've seen a few fires happen.
Polyester will melt
Yeah.
at a high enough temp. Light bulbs will do that.
Yeah.
So when
It's
you
like, yeah.
get your mother's shawl, that's that real cool iridescent multicolored that she got in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And you put that over the light, and then
Yeah.
it burns a hole in it, or I'm sorry, melts a hole in it.
Yeah.
She's going to beat your ass.
Bitter. She's gonna be angry.
Yeah, she's going to be mad.
But
that's
yeah,
how that works.
mood lighting, and then different colored bulbs. I've used that.
Candles?
I
At the table with those same people?
no. I do. If I do candles, I do candles away. But what I have found throughout recent years, because now in the age of anything is possible, we live in strange and exotic times, people. Those battery operated candles.
You're going to say the electronic candles.
Those electronic candles have and it. But you know what?
The little electronic tea candles.
Yeah,
So
but
you get like 100 of them for $1.
Yeah, but let me tell you, folks, this is how because I've had people go, oh, but this is what you do, right? Because again, being a kid of the theater, I know a lot of tricks. One of the things that I saw on a set that was really cool was that they used a bunch of electronic candles, and then ever so often they would put an actual real candle, and they would put just enough of the real candles intermixed with all these electronic ones that it would give the overall glow and effect
that your brain told you
want. Yeah.
Oh, those are all candles.
Yeah, that you want. And so like we would walk on set and be like, oh my God, like you lit 1,000 candles. They're like, nah, there's only like 25 real candles.
Yeah. So like,
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Wait.
Sprinkled through. But it's
That's
things
great.
like that. So, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like the die cast miniatures. So like miniatures are cool. I love a good matte folio, especially if like they're gonna be traveling from place to place to place. You are here in Greyhawk, and you're now gonna try the Ravensmith, and like it's 544 miles, and you're gonna take the airship that's powered by the Black Dragon. Things like that. I love a good matte folio. Don't let me go to Gen Con and get into the auction house, because real quick, so you go to Gen Con auction house, right? Cool. Walk in, main part, auction. To your right, there are items that have not sold that you could just go and pick up and purchase flat out. Yes. 2 years ago, I had as a heart attack, and I had friends that were like, we've never played D&D. We would like to play. And I was like, well, we'll start with 3.0 because I feel that would be the easiest for you guys to grasp and then go from there. I went in there, and on the first day of the con, acted stupid, and then got out, and I was like, so I'm gonna have to gonna have to Uber back home real fast because I can't walk around the Commonwealth all day, and this is like 10:35.
Wow.
Like, I mean, went in, but I got miniatures, I got maps, but yeah, like, you know, things to build your world up. Whatever you feel that you need in order to set the tone of the game in general or that particular game, I think is always fair game. I walked in the places where people have taken the time to like make the whole room look like an actual real dungeon, and so there's like you know, chains and whips and, you know, fake boulders and everything, and it's like, wow, smoke machine going. And other times it's about just the table itself. What I want STs and players to realize that while there is a physical table, your whole atmosphere is your table. It's all part of your table. And you need to, if you think like that, if you think the table, it spreads out from the physical table itself onto the walls, onto the floor, into the air. If you think that way, a lot of times it's real easy for people to actually build a whole ambiance because it's just everything else is an extension of the table itself, which is part of the game of the experience.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So let's review, or let's wrap up.
Let's wrap this puppy up. There was a lot there.
There was a lot
quiz
there, and that's we should put together a quiz after this,
right.
shouldn't we?
Like,
So okay, the space,
yeah,
public, private. We prefer private. The fantasy versus reality. Fantasy's doable. Mm-hmm. That's what tabletop role playing is all about. Yeah. It's all about escapism. It's all about fantasy. It's all about, we really want to be able to create the episode that we're looking for. We don't always hit that.
Right.
Okay. There are some times when we are just stuck in reality, and it doesn't matter what the fantasy was, that ain't going to happen.
Fantasy's gone.
Fantasy is gone. The way you get closer to fantasy than reality, preparedness.
Yeah.
If you have your stuff together, if your players have their stuff together, the closer you'll get towards that fantasy. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean for you as a storyteller? You need to be more prepared than your players.
Yeah.
Have extra materials for them. Yeah, we're talking, you're going to have to get some pencils, you're going to have to get some paper, you're going to have to provide for them when they don't bring their character sheet. In this day and age of technology, when players make character sheets, I take pictures of them. So that when they say, "Hi, Dad, I forgot my character sheet." Like, did I tell you Marty forgot his character sheet for an entire month? Okay.
Did he really? Wow.
No, that was terrible.
That Marty.
That
pesky Marty.
And Marty makes it creepy. So I have copies for them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, here's your character sheet. You can look and see what you had. You had this and that and the other. But the more prepared you are, the better the table you have. Yeah. Food is good. I mean, we all want to go over and have some grub.
Yeah.
Okay. Hosting is good.
Yeah.
In that you don't have to drive home, but then again, you have to have people to your house. Beverages are wonderful. We all, need something to drink and all that. That's good. However, do understand that if your drink gets knocked over, it's not going to stay in the glass or in the cup unless you have a screw top on it. Or get a water bottle. Water's good
water
for
bottle,
everybody.
screw top.
We love water bottles. Those are absolutely great.
Yeah.
Try to set the mood. Try to set the theme. Understand that this is an entire area, not just on the tabletop. Or if it is on the tabletop, then make that happen. There are things you can do with smell. We don't necessarily mean you should burn something.
Yeah.
But there are alternatives. You check our show notes. We've got some examples for you. We've got some ideas. Last suggestions or last thoughts on the table from the standpoint of, you're going to run a game and the table, you're setting everything up. What do you got?
Wow. I know that long, awkward pause. So I was like, that's a good question. He didn't save it to the last.
No, I can edit all that out.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. Like, Jeez. I say when it comes to just, with everything that we've said and it's all said and done, remember the famous quote from the Parker Brothers Ouija game. It's just a game, isn't it? That's what you got.
He said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's a game.
It is.
And at the end of the day, when you come to the table, come prepared to play, come prepared to have fun, but don't come to be a jerk. And when it's all said and done, everything that's about the game stays at the table.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yep.
and respect the space, respect the table, you know. And as long as you come to the table prepared, you got your stuff together, you are mindful of, you know, drinks, you know, a mood has been set, and you're respectful of that, and you're ready to go as a STN as a player, you know, enjoy the moment, respect the space, always respect the table. And the moment that your players don't respect the table, or even you feel that a ST isn't respecting the table and the rules and things that have been set, it's time to bring up the lights and just disperse for a minute and come back when everyone can.
Agreed. See, and that's always been my thing. My final thoughts on if you're prepared, if you're trying to meet the fantasy, then as a storyteller, then what you need you may have a bad game, you may have a number of bad games, but as a storyteller, if the people keep coming back to your table, then because you've done the preparation, because you're telling the story, if they keep coming back, there's an interest there. They want to play in the game, and like you said, it is a game. You are providing the entertainment. You are providing the escapism. And if you do it well, they'll keep coming back, and it will keep getting better. This is a skill just like any other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? The more you do it, the easier it is, and the better it becomes in the long run.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
All right. Well, then that'll do us tonight for the storytelling series with Gaming with Scott.
Yay.
We thank you, Johnny.
Thanks for having me.
We thank you, listeners. And as always, you'll hear from us real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.